Shadow people. Across the world, thousands of people have reported seeing dark, human-shaped figures standing silently in bedrooms, hallways, doorways, and empty corners of rooms. Unlike normal shadows, these figures often appear to have a clear shape and presence. Witnesses frequently describe them as darker than the surrounding darkness, almost as if they absorb light rather than reflect it. Many sightings last only a few seconds before the figure vanishes completely. One of the most common explanations involves sleep paralysis, a condition in which a person becomes mentally awake while the body remains temporarily unable to move. During this state, vivid hallucinations can occur, and many people report seeing a dark figure watching them from nearby. However, not every shadow person encounter happens during sleep paralysis. Some witnesses claim they were fully awake, walking through their homes or driving on roads when they saw the figures. Stories about shadow-like beings can be found in many cultures throughout history. Different civilizations gave them different names and meanings, often connecting them to spirits, omens, or supernatural entities. Modern researchers generally believe most sightings can be explained by the brain's tendency to recognize human shapes in low-light conditions. Even so, the remarkable similarity between reports from people who have never met continues to make shadow people one of the most famous reality glitches ever described. The Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is a phenomenon in which large groups of people remember the same event, detail, or fact differently from how it actually exists. The name comes from a widespread false memory involving Nelson Mandela. Many people distinctly remembered hearing that he died in prison during the 1980s, even though he was released and later became president of South Africa before passing away decades later. The phenomenon extends far beyond a single example. People often remember famous movie quotes differently than they were originally spoken. Others recall brand logos, book titles, product packaging, or historical events in ways that do not match documented records. What makes the Mandela Effect unusual is not that people make mistakes, but that thousands of unrelated individuals often make the exact same mistake. Psychologists believe the effect is connected to how human memory works. Memory is not a perfect recording of reality. Instead, the brain reconstructs information each time it is recalled. During this process, details can change without a person realizing it. Social influence and reaper something deeper, as though reality itself may not be as fixed as it appears. Repeated exposure to incorrect information can strengthen these false memories over time. Despite these explanations, many people remember. Time slips. A time slip is a reported experience in which a person seems to briefly enter another time period while remaining in the same physical location. Witnesses often describe suddenly finding themselves surrounded by buildings, vehicles, clothing styles, or people that belong to a completely different era. Moments later, everything returns to normal as if nothing happened. One of the most famous stories involves two women visiting France in the early 20th century. While walking through the grounds of a historic palace, they claim to encounter scenes and individuals that appeared to belong to the 18th century. Their experience became widely discussed and remains one of the most debated time slip reports ever recorded. Skeptics argue that time slips can usually be explained through memory distortion, misunderstandings, historical reenactments, or vivid imagination. Human perception is not always reliable, especially in unfamiliar environments. However, some reports contain unusual details that witnesses later discovered matched historical facts they supposedly did not know at the time. Whether these stories represent psychological phenomena or something more mysterious remains unresolved. The Taos Hum. In the quiet desert town of Taos, New Mexico, some residents began reporting a strange, low-frequency humming noise. The sound was often described as a distant engine idling somewhere beyond hearing range. What made the situation unusual was that only a small percentage of people could hear it. Numerous investigations were conducted over the years. Scientists searched for industrial machinery, electrical equipment, underground vibrations, and natural geological sources. Specialized instruments were used to measure environmental sounds throughout the region. Despite these efforts, researchers were unable to identify a single source that could explain every report. Similar hums have since been reported in other parts of the world. Some experts suggest that certain individuals may be unusually sensitive to specific frequencies. Others believe internal biological processes, such as tinnitus, could play a role. Yet many listeners insist the sound is external and physically present. The mystery continues because no explanation fully accounts for all known cases. Déjà Vu. Déjà vu is the strange sensation that a completely new experience has somehow happened before. A person may walk into an unfamiliar room, hear a conversation for the first time, or visit a place they have never seen, yet feel an overwhelming certainty that the moment is repeating itself. Scientists have studied déjà vu for decades. One leading theory suggests that it occurs when information reaches memory processing regions of the brain through slightly different pathways. As a result, a new experience may briefly feel familiar before the brain realizes it has never occurred before. The experience is usually harmless and lasts only a few seconds. Most people encounter it several times throughout their lives. Although researchers understand many of the neurological mechanisms involved, the feeling itself remains surprisingly powerful. Even when people know it is an illusion, it can still create the eerie impression that reality has somehow repeated a moment from the past. Missing time. Missing time refers to situations in which people discover that a significant period has passed without any memory of what occurred during it. Someone might begin a short drive and suddenly realize they have traveled much farther than expected. Others report looking at a clock and finding that hours seem to have disappeared. In many cases, missing time can be explained by ordinary psychological processes. Humans frequently enter states of automatic behavior while performing familiar tasks. During these periods, attention becomes focused elsewhere, reducing the formation of detailed memories. However, some reports involve circumstances that appear more difficult to explain. Witnesses sometimes describe intense confusion, unusual surroundings, or memories that seem fragmented and incomplete. These stories have contributed to decades of speculation involving everything from neurological conditions to extraordinary phenomena. Regardless of the explanation, missing time remains one of the most unsettling experiences people can encounter. The doppelganger. A doppelganger is an exact duplicate of a living person. Unlike an ordinary look-alike, a doppelganger is often described as possessing nearly identical facial features, body shape, voice, and mannerisms. Throughout history, many cultures viewed encounters with one's double as significant or even supernatural. Ancient folklore frequently portrayed doppelgangers as omens of major life events. Some stories claimed that seeing your own double foretold illness or death. Others believed the duplicate represented a spiritual counterpart existing alongside the physical self. Modern science offers more ordinary explanations. With billions of people on Earth, genetic similarities and chance combinations of facial features make remarkable lookalikes statistically possible. Social media has made these encounters easier to discover than ever before. Nevertheless, stories involving strangers who appear almost identical continue to create a sense of wonder that few other phenomena can match. The glitch in the matrix. The phrase glitch in the matrix is commonly used to describe events that seem to break the normal rules of reality. The term became popular after a science fiction film suggested that unusual occurrences could indicate flaws in a simulated world. People use the phrase to describe a wide range of experiences. A person may see the same stranger multiple times in impossible circumstances. An object may vanish and later reappear in a place that was thoroughly searched. Someone might witness an event so unlikely that it feels impossible. Most researchers point toward coincidence, memory errors, and limitations in human perception. The brain constantly fills gaps in information, sometimes creating mistaken conclusions without our awareness. Yet because these experiences often feel intensely real, many people remain convinced they witnessed something that cannot be explained through ordinary means. The disappearing object phenomenon. Nearly everyone has experienced losing an item only to find it later in a location that seems impossible to overlook. Keys, wallets, phones, glasses, and documents are among the most common objects involved. Psychologists explain that attention is selective. The brain filters enormous amounts of information every second and focuses only on what seems important. As a result, people can fail to notice objects even when they are directly visible. This phenomenon is known as inattentional blindness. Despite this explanation, some cases feel unusually strange. Witnesses often insist they searched a location repeatedly before the object suddenly appeared there later. The confidence people have in their memories can make these incidents feel less like simple mistakes and more like temporary disruptions in reality itself. The third man factor. The third man factor is a phenomenon reported by explorers, mountaineers, sailors, soldiers, and disaster survivors during extreme situations. Individuals facing life-threatening conditions sometimes sense the presence of another person nearby, even though nobody else else is physically present. This unseen companion often feels supportive rather than frightening. Survivors frequently describe receiving encouragement, guidance, or reassurance from the presence. In some cases, people report carrying on conversations with it for hours. Researchers believe severe stress, isolation, exhaustion, and sensory deprivation may trigger the brain to create the experience. Yet the consistency of reports across different cultures and circumstances is remarkable. Many individuals describe nearly identical encounters despite having no knowledge of the phenomenon beforehand. Premonition dreams. Premonition dreams are dreams that appear to predict future events. People often recall dreaming about accidents, meetings, conversations, or major life events before they happen in reality. Most scientists believe the phenomenon results from coincidence combined with selective memory. Humans experience thousands of dreams throughout their lives and forget the vast majority of them. When a dream resembles a future event, that dream becomes memorable while countless unrelated dreams are forgotten. Even with this explanation, some reported cases remain striking. Certain dreams contain detailed elements that seem unusually specific. Whether these experiences reveal hidden abilities of the mind or simply reflect the enormous role of chance remains an open question that continues to fascinate researchers and the public alike. The black-eyed children. Reports of black-eyed children describe young individuals with completely black eyes appearing in unusual situations. Witnesses often encounter them near homes, vehicles, roadsides, or isolated public areas. The children typically behave politely but create an overwhelming sense of fear and unease. Many stories share similar details. The children ask for assistance, transportation, or permission to enter a home. Witnesses frequently report feeling an instinctive urge to refuse despite the seemingly harmless request. The encounters usually end when the children leave or suddenly disappear. Skeptics believe the phenomenon is likely an urban legend amplified through books, internet forums, and media coverage. Others suggest that unusual lighting, contact lenses, or memory distortions may explain many reports. Regardless of the cause, black-eyed children remain one of the most persistent and unsettling modern legends associated with reality glitches. Reality itself feels stable because the human brain continuously organizes vast amounts of information into a coherent picture of the world. Most reality glitches eventually receive reasonable explanations involving perception, memory, attention, or coincidence. Yet a small number continue to resist easy answers, existing in the narrow space where science, psychology, and mystery meet.